Hi, everyone. This is Nina Leadus Cannon. Good to see you all. I just want to make sure you can hear me, right? Thumbs up if you can hear me. Oh, maybe not. Oh, Benjamin can hear me. Great. I just want to make sure, can others hear me? No? Not sure what's happening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Nina.
Oh, great. Okay, glad to know that. Okay, so just to make sure you guys are in the right place, this is the PAP 1003 Application Planning Seminar on the Statement of Other Impactful Experiences, which is included in the AMCAS application. There are other applications that refer to some of the information that I'm covering today, such as the ACOMAS application and the ATHES application. This is primarily for students applying to medical school. However, if you are applying to dental school, it may be helpful for you as well. Although you are not going to be writing this specific essay. So it's up to you. If you're applying to medical school, you definitely need to stay. All right, I'm going to begin in about 3 minutes. Just let other students log on and we'll get started. I'm just going to give students just another minute to log on because I still see students consistently joining. So just one more minute, please. All right, let's get started. All right, so I'm presenting alone today. I don't have a co-host or assistant, so I will stop at certain points along the way to answer questions, but instead of putting questions in the chat, it's probably best to just unmute and ask the question, and you can wait till, at appropriate times, I will stop to answer questions, and I will certainly stay at the end too to answer questions. Okay, as I said before, my name is Nina Leadis Cannon. This is a PAP 1003 seminar on the AMCAS Statement of Other Impactful Experiences, which is an essay that's included in the medical school application, the main medical school application, the AMCAS. And in addition, there is a reflection statement that you should have received after you registered for the seminar that you will need to complete at the end of the seminar for those individuals who need that link. For some reason they didn't get it, I will post it in the chat, but I'm going to do that at the end, because inevitably when I post it now, there are students that ask again at the end for the link. All right, let's get started without further ado. Okay, so previously there was a short essay that was part of the AMCAS application, which is the main medical school application that you use to apply to multiple medical schools, and it was called the Statement of Disadvantage. And several years ago, they decided to change that essay to be called the Statement of Other Impactful Experiences. And that essay allows applicants to write about, any form of hardship they've had at any time in their lives. And medical schools do want to know about these things. They consider them part of your lived experiences and part of how you've built your competencies for medical school. And they may have even informed your desire to pursue a career in medicine. Prior to the 2023-24 cycle, medical schools allowed applicants to self-identify as disadvantaged. And that was when the statement was called the Statement of Disadvantage. You could self-identify as disadvantaged because of social, economic, or educational circumstances that you felt did disadvantage you in those ways, educationally, economically, or socially. However, after a committee was formed and discussions were had, they decided that there were negative connotations around the use of the word disadvantaged. So the AAMC changed the name of the statement to the Statement of Other Impactful Experiences. It is still the same length. It's 1,325 characters with spaces, which is the same amount of space that you have to write one of your most meaningful activity descriptions. And so it's still located in the same part of the application after biographical information, but it is now called the Statement of Other Impactful Experiences. When they changed the name of the statement, in turn, they have expanded the number of topics that could potentially be disclosed in this essay, okay? And that's what I want to talk about today. So just for context, if you're applying to dental school, the main application that you will use to apply to dental schools, ADSAS, in that application, they ask about socioeconomic factors, which in turn includes information on disadvantage. In addition to general biographic information, there's also a subsection for what they call environmental factors. And here in that section are a series of questions about the type of area in which you grew up in, and if there were any extenuating circumstances or socio-environmental factors that impacted your upbringing. There are also questions on the ADSAS application about your family situation, your childhood residency, and disadvantaged consideration. There is not a separate essay to further elaborate on your disadvantaged situation, but the questions that you are answering and the, if you decide to check disadvantaged consideration, that of course will provide them with that information. If you choose to be considered as disadvantaged on the dental school application, then you are provided with space to include up to 4,500 characters with spaces on all the various factors that you deem pertinent for your disadvantage consideration, okay? And that only pops up if you check that you want to be considered for disadvantage consideration. And you are also asked to provide a brief description of your childhood residence, up to 250 characters, which again can allow you to elaborate a little bit more on, did you grow up 5 persons to a 1-bedroom apartment? Did you grow up in Section 8 housing? Did you grow up in an area that was subject to a lot of crime? You can detail all those facts in that brief description. Okay. In the ACOMAS application, which is the application that medical school students will be using to apply to osteopathic medical schools, okay, it's a separate application for osteopathic medical schools called ACOMAS. And there is a question about personal background in the biographical information section. However, there's no additional space to expand upon obstacles or hardships in the essay. So in the ACOMAS application, you're most likely to write about the hardships that you've experienced either in your personal statement or in secondary essays for the schools that you would be applying to, the osteopathic medical schools that you would be applying to through ACOMAS. Okay, so each application is different in how it approaches your ability to describe the lived experiences that you've had that, have been difficult because economically, socially, okay, or even educationally. Okay, so the MCAS statement of other impactful experiences. The prompt specifically states, have you overcome challenges or obstacles in your life that you would like to describe in more detail? This could include lived experiences related to your family background, financial background, community setting, educational experiences, and/or other life circumstances. So as you can see, the wording here is very, very broad and really allows you to possibly write about many, many different aspects of your background that have presented challenges or obstacles, okay? And they specifically use the word overcome, overcome. And I'll get back to that in a minute when I describe more about how to write the statement, but you do need to focus on how you have adapted, how you have overcome these challenges or obstacles. All right, and what is the purpose of this statement, right? What does it matter? Why do medical schools want to know, right? I guess the first reason is a more holistic review of the application. They want to know more about you, so which can explain possibly, one bad semester or other circumstances that inhibited your candidacy for medical school. They want to look at everything about you that that should be considered in the review of your application. And as I said, it gives you the chance to explain the circumstances that may have impacted certain parts of your application. And it also gives more context to the applicant's pre-medical journey, right? It's sort of a clearer picture of what you've gone through to get to this point. And medical schools want to know about that, right? So it gives more context to you, who you are as a person, and the character traits you've developed as a result of your lived experiences, okay? Which is also something that medical schools consider. So, should you answer this prompt, right? Should you answer it? And many applicants will not need to answer this question, okay? I mean, not every applicant has had challenges or hardships or obstacles that they feel they need to detail there. Or if there are hardships you encountered that you don't want to reveal to medical schools, there's no requirement that you do so. So you don't necessarily need to talk about everything you've been through in the medical school application if you don't feel it's pertinent to your candidacy and you have no desire to really talk about it in the application. There's no requirement that you do so. Further, this is not the place to repeat what you've already written about in your personal statement and experiences. So if in your personal statement, you've talked a little bit about some of the hardships or setbacks you experienced, you do not need to repeat it here, okay? There's no requirement that you repeat it here. If you choose to answer the question, as I mentioned before, you have only 1,325 characters with spaces to do so. So this is not a long essay, okay? This is as long as one of your meaningful descriptions in the activity section, okay? So the AAMC does provide some guidance, and specifically, they write, for some applicants, their impactful experiences may be core to their personal and professional goals, so they may want to weave it into other parts of their application. For other applicants, their impactful experience may provide important contextual information, but is not central to their professional goals. So they may want to emphasize other information in their personal statements or other parts of the main AMCAS application while still answering this question, okay? So you have to kind of see where you fall into the picture here. As a general rule, I do think that each of you has unique journeys to your um, candidacy as a medical school student. And if you can describe some aspect of that journey which provides context um, for some of the setbacks or hardships or obstacles that you have overcome, obviously not in the same wording as in the personal statement, um, but I think, this is an appropriate place to include this information. This is exactly what this essay is directed towards understanding. Okay, so let's just talk about what you should include in this essay, okay? You decided you think you might want to write something here, and let's think about what could be included here. Okay. Think about how life experiences beyond your control have affected and or limited your opportunities or resources. These life experiences can relate to your family situation or financial background, the community in which you were raised, the educational opportunities you had or did not have, the impact of your culture or religion on your life, or other life experiences. Remember, you can discuss experiences from any point in your lifetime. So, unlike other parts of the personal statement that should only focus on experiences that you had during college and following college, this essay can include experiences that you had at any point in your life, including during your very early years. Okay, here's some more examples of what to include in the statement of other impactful experiences. Growing up in a restrictive community due to culture or religion that limited the kinds of activities and careers you could engage in. Struggling with an undiagnosed medical condition, including a learning disability. Taking on a demanding caregiving role for an ailing family member. Growing up with a single parent in an impoverished community. Growing up in a high crime area. Being stigmatized for factors beyond your control. Holding multiple jobs through high school or college, which affected academic performance. Some additional examples. As you can see, there's a lot of different things you can write about here. If your family received local, state, and or federal assistance because of socioeconomic or other circumstances, you can disclose this in the essay and discuss how it impacted your personal growth and character. Okay? Food stamps, Medicaid, free lunch program in school, rent-controlled or subsidized housing, state or federal loans for tuition, okay? You can talk about these things here and perhaps what it taught you about some of the disparities in care or some of the other obstacles you had to overcome to pursue your professional path, how that's impacted your personal growth and character. Some more examples of what to include. There's so many things you can talk about in this essay. Growing up in a household with a parent or family member who was abusive physically or emotionally. Growing up in a household with a parent or family member who struggled with mental illness that impacted the family dynamic. Growing up with a family member who had addictions, such as drug abuse, alcoholism, or gambling, that impacted the family dynamic. Okay, even more possible circumstances. Maybe a natural disaster upended your life, such as a flood or fire. Maybe you had to move frequently, or just due to military conflict or lack of security. Being shelter insecure for some period in your life. Needing to wait until your legal status was changed to be eligible for financial aid, such as refugee, asylee, or DACA status. All right, before I go into how to organize what to include in this essay, are there questions? Are there any questions? Okay, you guys are all pretty clear? All right, so I will continue on then. All right. How to organize what to include in this essay versus other parts of the application. So some applicants will have experienced multiple challenges that could be included in this essay. And what you want to do is create a timeline of the barriers that you encountered from the beginning of your life to the present. And in this way, it can help you identify which setbacks or which hardships are most relevant here and which might be better placed in other parts of your application. Because you don't have to include everything in the other statement of other impactful experiences. You can remember it's a very short essay. So you can include a lot of things, but you're just going to have to be very brief and succinct and factual. So tips, number one, like I said, be factual, state the facts. Did your family rely on food stamps? If so, say that. Did you live in Section 8 housing? Simply stating the objective facts can help you quickly and effectively approach this portion of the application. This is not a creative writing essay. They don't want to know about your feelings or some sort of dramatization or creative description of your various circumstances. Just state the facts and talk about how they've impacted your personal growth and development. These details will provide the admissions committee with the information they need to understand just how hard you had to work to meet your educational and professional goals. And you may need to discuss these details with your parents if you are unsure of the assistance programs you took advantage of, right? Sometimes students just are not aware, if they live in subsidized or rent-controlled or Section 8 housing. You may need to talk to your parents to find out more about some of the assistance that you do receive, so you can describe it in the essay. As I said, number one is stick to the facts, and number two, avoid emotional language here. Avoid emotional language. No need to express any emotions or to emphasize any details. Let the facts speak for themselves. There's no need to be creative or to dramatize your situation. You can state that a parent was an alcoholic or substance abuser, but focus on how that fact impacted your childhood. For example, the inability of the parent to maintain a job, or drunken rages that made it difficult to be at home and complete your studies, okay? Focus on the impact on you. Number 3, avoid vague statements. Avoid vague statements. What do I mean by that? You need to make your explanations of your situation as specific as possible. For example, avoid vague statements such as, the high school I went to didn't provide a good education. That may be true, but it's very vague. We need to know more detail. A more effective description would be, the graduation rate at the high school I attended was less than 60%. Fights, disruptions during class, and other disciplinary problems were common. Few honors or other advanced courses were available, especially in science subjects. Okay, these facts give more context to why your high school didn't provide a good education. You can find out this information about graduation rate simply by looking at the, you can look up your school and the graduation rate. All of this information is online. It will also give you the percentage of students who receive free lunch at the school. So it will also give you information about honors and advanced courses available to students, especially in the sciences. So all of this information is available to you if you just look it up. Number 4, show how the different parts of your life connect, okay? You can include any details about your childhood, adolescence, early adulthood that are relevant, okay? This essay allows you to talk about early events, focusing only on college or not sharing information that could explain why you were not prepared to enter college, such as attending a low-performing public school that had inadequate materials for its students, could hurt your application. So you want to make sure that you do everything to enhance your candidacy for medical school. So this essay allows you to include details that can explain some parts of your college experience. You might even need to start with your parents, especially if they immigrated to the United States before you were born or when you were a child. All of these aspects of your experience are part of you. Any events that had a direct impact on the resources available to you should be included from before your birth to the present day. Number 5, keep the focus on you. Keep the focus on you. Most people prefer to write about someone other than themselves, right? It's easy. It's hard to write about yourself. But this essay isn't about the struggles of your parents, your siblings, or even your community. Their experiences set the stage for who you are today. While these, whoops, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back. Okay, right. So you want to keep the focus on you. Number 6, avoid blame or bitterness. You don't want to come across as sounding like you are a victim. Reflecting on the challenges that you have faced may be difficult, may raise some feelings of bitterness or responsibility. While these feelings may be valid, this essay is not the place to state them. So you want to, number 7, keep your tone positive. The tone you establish in your essays, both here and elsewhere in the application, says a lot about you and your character. If the tone is one of gratitude, the admissions committee might be impressed that you have found ways to thrive despite severe disadvantages. If you attempt to manipulate your reader or elicit pity by exaggerating or telling them how to feel about the events of your life, the response will not be positive. So make conscious decisions about how you approach the tone of this essay. It's much more effective to be factual. Number 8, end on a high note. End on a high note. The best essays celebrate what has gone right or what the applicant has been able to accomplish despite the difficulties they have faced. Did you work throughout high school to be able to pay for college? Did your family want you to marry young or take a shorter path so that you could get a job that would support your family? But you followed your dream of studying and applying to medical school instead. Sharing how you've advocated for yourself and found ways to be successful despite obstacles reveals your resilience. It's important to remember that your application will be treated with the utmost respect and that you are heroic for overcoming obstacles that would have prevented most people from applying to medical school. So try to end on a high note. Congratulate yourself for making it to this point in your education. 9, do not portray yourself as a victim or seek pity. I did mention this a little bit before. I just want to iterate this again. It is never advisable to portray yourself as a victim. State the lessons you've learned and the skills you gained from your hardships. End on a high note. Along the lines of, overall, my obstacles have given me more resolve to plan ahead, meet my goals, and help others do the same. Or, my hardships have made me more dedicated to achieving my goals, more resilient when I experience setbacks, and more empathetic to the suffering of others. Okay, I think you get the point. Some additional tips for writing this essay. It is not helpful to include hypothetical situations, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. Hypothetical situations, things that may have happened or could have happened but did not happen. In many cases, applicants will discuss how their situations could have been different had some event not occurred, or had they not made a certain mistake in college, such as taking a full schedule of rigorous classes while maintaining a job and other commitments. While you may choose to discuss the demanding schedule you maintained in the personal statement and how it may have impacted your academic performance, do not write about how your academic performance would have been better if you did not have to work. That's a hypothetical situation. That is something you do not know. You do not know if your academic performance would have been better if you did not have to work full-time or a significant part-time position during your college years. You can discuss what you did take on and how it impacted your pre-med journey, but don't talk about how things would have been different had you not needed to work. All right, just a word of caution here. There are some inappropriate topics or topics that we advise students are not the best to discuss here in this statement. And you know, just overall, generally, you want to maintain a professional persona throughout your application, including in this essay. So we advise you not to use this essay to discuss physical or mental health conditions that may call into doubt your ability to manage the rigors of medical school, unless these conditions have been addressed and you are, received appropriate treatment and are in a much better place. But you don't want to write about things that you're still struggling with that may prevent you from um, being capable of handling the rigor of medical school. Remember, you're still applying to medical school. These conditions are really best discussed with designated program staff after you receive an acceptance, okay? So if you're still, dealing with certain, requirements for additional time, or you're still struggling with certain mental health issues, you could talk about them with the medical school staff if you feel that it's necessary to get appropriate accommodations after you receive an offer of acceptance. All right. Reflect on how the experience impacted you. It is important that you reflect on how your lived experiences impacted your personal identity in terms of character development and growth, right? Everything that happens to us influences who we are as people, right? And that's what you want to focus on here. All right, let me read to you a sample essay, okay? Um, and I will also send the slides for this presentation to you following this seminar, if you feel that you would like to go back and review it at some point before writing the essay. As a first-generation student with immigrant parents, I have long struggled with social and economic challenges growing up. Since my parents migrated to this country over 25 years ago for greater opportunities not offered in Ecuador, education has always been a priority for us. However, my parents have no education beyond grade school and have always worked minimum wage jobs. My mother works in a small local market, and my father drives a food produce truck. My family of 5 lives in a 2-bedroom apartment in a high-crime area of the Bronx. I attended public schools and took advantage of the free lunch program. There were times when I felt unsafe during my walk home from school or work, as many shootings took place in my neighborhood. With the help of both federal and Pell Grants, I have been able to attend college. As a medical assistant receptionist, I have taken on more hours during the school year to help cover costs at home. Despite my parents' time spent working overtime, their lack of medical insurance due to immigration reasons, their lack of educational background, and our low-income household, I have managed to overcome these barriers, right? So it goes back to how he's overcome them, as the prompt asks. As a Latina, I have participated in programs that support minorities like myself in achieving their professional goals and serve as a mentor to other first-gen students. Okay. You can see that this essay is not a creative writing piece. It really just states the facts. And then at the end, briefly states how they've overcome these setbacks or hardships, okay? And that's what you want to do. You want to let the facts speak for themselves. If you do have questions about whether or not to write this essay, or whether you have or whether you or whether what you experience should be disclosed in this essay, I think it's probably better to meet me in person so we can discuss your specific individual concerns rather than talking about them here at the seminar, okay? But I'm happy to discuss these things with you. And I do think there's usually a way that will benefit you in the application by answering this question if you have had lived experiences that have informed your path to medicine. All right, and that is it. A short seminar for a short essay in the medical school application. I am now open to any and all of your questions, if you have any. Remember to also submit the reflection statement. Do you need me to post the link to that? Everyone has it? Okay, great. All right, let me just answer some questions. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name right. You?
Kiri, hi.
Curie.
Hi,
Hi.
Miss Lewis. Thank you so much. Yes, please also post the reflection link for some of us. And also, may I ask, like, so earlier you mentioned that we shouldn't mention about mental health struggle. It's like I want to include like I had a mental health struggle, but I overcome that throughout the years, and I made academic improvements based on that. Like, can I include that on my disadvantage essay?
Yes, you can talk about that.
All right,
I
sure.
mean, it
Thank
has
you.
to be focused more on being in a good place now and able to move forward with the challenges ahead.
Got it. But it's if it's like a problem that I already overcome, then I can include that, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're struggling with serious bouts of depression that are untreated, it may not serve you well in the application process.
Okay, but like if like I'm already like healed from mental health issue, then it
Yes,
got it.
that's fine. It shows how you overcame it, shows what you did um, to improve your health and to gain the skills necessary to move forward with your pursuit of your career goals.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Sure. All right, let me get,
I posted the link in the chat, so I think it should be available.
let me just, hold on one second. I'm just gonna get the mock form link to, um, the reflection statement. Bear with me here. All right, do you see the link? Great. Oh, and Anna posted it too. Thank you, Anna. All righty. Other questions? Benjamin?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So I just wanted to discuss. I know that like sometimes you showed some examples where in the essays people wrote that they overcame their struggles. And they had listed certain struggles, let's say helping elderly family members by being their primary caretaker. And they struggled through that and maybe it affected their grades or anything. How, other than stating just that we overcame it, do we need to show like explain that I have
Yes, you need to explain
by
how you, not just that you overcame it, but how it impacted your, you want to end on a note of positivity. How has it impacted your, your path to medicine, or what you hope to accomplish as a physician, or who you are as a person? Yes,
okay, so provide specific. All right, okay, thank you so much.
right. Gwen?
Hi, I was just
Hi.
wondering because I think if I were to write it, I would write about something from earlier in my childhood.
That's
if I don't
fine.
think that it negatively affected like my ability to go to school now, but it changed my character, should I still
Then I
include
would
it?
absolutely, yes, yes,
Okay.
yes, yes. Okay. Um, other, other questions. Like sometimes, even if you experience, if your parents have gone through marital issues or, just maybe, you've grown from that and you've developed a new understanding of, your parents and developed perhaps new relationships with them. Maybe it also informed your appreciation for, the bonds of human connection that are formed and their fragility or whatever it is that you've learned from the experience. There's so much lived experiences that have provided meaningful lessons to you. So think deeply about, what you've done in your lives and how it possibly has, informed who you are as a person. Other questions? We're good? Marie,
Hi, can you hear me?
yes.
Hi, Nina. So, my question is, since we can have like multiple experiences that ended up contributing to impacting whether it's our like career or our character or how how it like made our decision to attend medical school in stone, since we only have 1325 characters, is it better to try to find one experience that can be fleshed out a lot or have multiple that
You
are like
know, that's
shallow?
that's really a choice that, we can discuss, but in certain instances, perhaps yes. Maybe the personal statement, you talk about certain educational setbacks, but you don't really get into other personal difficulties, and maybe you want to talk about the personal difficulties in the statement of other impactful experiences. The sample essay that I showed you does cover a lot of ground. Remember, even if you choose to reflect on one aspect or one challenge or one setback or hardship, you have to just stay factual with how you're talking about it and how it impacted you, how you overcame it, and what how you've grown or been impacted by it. So it is a short space, but remember, you are sticking to the facts. So, I mean, it really kind of depends on when you say go into greater detail. If there is specific detail that gives context to what you've been through and you need that space, then perhaps it does make sense to focus on that one lived experience. I think
I
it's,
see.
a decision you'll have to make based on your individual circumstances.
Okay. Is that something that we could potentially like discuss for like meetings, like
Sure.
with our advisors who review the personal
Absolutely.
statement as well? Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
I understand now.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, the way to think of this is each part of the application, from the personal statement to the statement of other impactful experiences, to your activity descriptions, to the most meaningful experiences descriptions, to the many essays that you're going to write for your secondary applications, they all have an opportunity to reveal a different part of you. It's, like opening a window to a different aspect of your journey to medicine. And there is some, there has to be some thought about how you're going to use these different parts of the application to reveal different parts of you. Okay? We're good? You can email me if you'll put my email here. Just email me if you want the slides. And I wish you all the best. All right.
Thank you, Nina. Take care.
Okay, have a great day, everyone. So long.
Thank you.